So this is how to change the door lock actuator on a 91 F-150. It should be the same for all 87 and 91 Ford trucks, 250, 350, and Bronco as well. You start by taking off 2 screws. This one here, and if yours hasn't broken, this one here. And then you will take off, pop the little clips out. And pull the door panel off and away from you. The bottom will come out and then the whole thing will lift up. One of the biggest tips here will be how not to have to drill out this rivet on the side of the door here. I actually just finished replacing this morning, and it works, as you can see, perfectly fine without having to take that out. The clips there are 3 on the left-hand side, here, here, and here. And then across the bottom, 2 more. 1 in the corner here, and there's either 1 here, or I think there's 2. 1 and then 2. And you'll want to get right at each of those clips to pull it off, because otherwise you might wind up cracking the door panel. This one's starting to just barely, right there you can see, but not bad. So once you get that off, it will come up. This will lift off. You'll have to kind of finagle this through the hole here, and the whole thing will lay down. There's 2 screws on the back side of this that you'll unscrew, and then these actually will come out of the door panel itself, this cover. And then you can take the entire door panel off and sit it wherever you need to work on it. The door lock actuator, as you can see, is mounted here at the bottom back of the door, and it sits in here with the rod pointing up, and it, whenever you press the switch, it locks and unlocks the door. I'm going to go show you what the original one looked like that I took out, and how you can avoid having to take out that rivet, because if you do, then you have to replace it with a screw, bolt. I've seen people put them on with a nylon lock nut on the outside. And while it may clear, just looks a little weird for me. And what I did was a lot easier. I actually heard about it through an Amazon review of all things, and it worked well. So I'll show you guys how to do that. So these are the door clips. I bought this bag probably 3 or 4 years ago. Didn't really use them all. I think my door panel was loose and I wanted to replace these. I don't think it was when I did the window motor back about 7 years ago. I think it was after that. But anyways, so these, the way they're shaped, they go right into the holes in the door panel. They slide in sideways. And you can get these at almost any auto parts store. I think I got these from LMC at the time, because I didn't know you could get them at the auto parts store. But they were cheap, they're like maybe $4 for the whole pack, and then I think I paid shipping, which wasn't bad because they're so light. But I would recommend probably just replacing these if you take them off, because sometimes these will actually get left in the door panel, and they're just chewed up, and sometimes they will get stuck in the door and they will be pulled out of the door panel. So kind of depends on what you have when you take them off, but they have a lot of little teeth that hold these. So it actually would be good to be very gentle when you're pulling these out. It has a lot of it has a lot of holding power. It's not easy to get these off. They don't just pop off like a lot of the kind of spring-loaded ones that you see nowadays, which I don't really know why, but this is what I have left. I bought this pack, replaced one side, or at least some of the ones on the driver's side, and then had this for like the last 4 years, and then I had enough to actually replace every single one again today. And I haven't done the passenger side, but I believe that's close to the right amount. That's I might need an extra 2 or 3, but this had a lot in there. So just so you know, that is something that you probably will want to do before you start this job. Okay, so this is the old actuator that I pulled out of the truck from 91, and I believe it is original because this is what's left of the boot. And it's a Ford boot assembled in Mexico, so not surprising. Truck's been in my family since new, so 31 years, and I don't think it's ever been changed. So this is the bracket that you would normally have to bolt onto that door. And mine, inside the truck, it was mounted like this with the openings of the bottom of that bracket facing down. The easiest way to do this is to not take this off of the door itself, and it's actually to take just this part out and reuse the bracket that's already on the door, which, you know, makes sense, but sometimes you don't think about it till after you've already drilled out the rivet, and then you're kind of up a creek. So the way that I did it was to take off the old one first. I popped this out of here, which I'll show you actually pops on pretty easily. Just line these up with one hand, because you only have room for one hand inside the door, unfortunately. That's probably the most inconvenient part of this entire thing. You either have to stand with your entire right arm in the door and hope that you can do it okay, or put your left arm in and have very limited range of movement. So, all right, so that's this popped in. This is exactly how it was sitting in the truck. And this is actually an orientation of the rod as well. Makes it a little bit easier to get out of the locking mechanism, which is good. So the quickest thing to do was, I was trying to actually push this out of the bracket. These are kind of rubberized and they don't really want to come out. So the easiest thing to do is actually just to pry it off the side, just opposite of exactly what I just did. Obviously this is inside the door and you can't really see what you're doing, but just pull on one side until it releases. Push that side out, other side comes out, and then it's free. And these actually are the same size, which is nice. This is all the new stuff that came with it. I put the, honestly, it was 95, 100 degrees. I didn't want to deal with trying to pop each of these out with one hand. So I actually left the originals in the bracket. So these actually, this is all new stuff with the old actuator. So these pins appear to be the same size. This is the one from Amazon. It's a Dorman part number 746-147. I got off Amazon. It's about 40, 45 bucks. So that was the easiest way to get that off. And once that's undone, you kind of have to try to fit both arms in the door and unclip the bottom. It's real simple. It's a little two-prong deal. There's a little clip that when it clicks in, you know, it just surrounds that. So you lift up on it to where it clears this little nub here and pops out. And once you do that, you have a lot more range of motion. You can pivot it up inside the door itself. And this is how this rod goes in. It goes into the mechanism itself like this. So when you're taking it out, the easiest thing to do is flip this up, which will, you know, basically walk the rod out. And then you'll have to kind of basically take it like this and pull it all the way out. Not too bad, but I thought this was like a hook. A lot of these, you know, they go up and over and back down. This one doesn't. It's not like a, you know, 180 degree bend, but you know, that's fine. It worked good. This actually went bad in less than a week. It started working part-time and then just completely stopped doing anything. So it got bent very slightly taking it out, but it wasn't bad. So the new one, there's a bunch of different lengths that they send you. The longest one was the one that worked for me. I actually have opened this bag. You can't really tell it, but there's one shaped like this long one here, but longer, obviously, and it went on here. And there was a coupler here that had a roll pin that you put the rod into this coupler and then push the roll pin in with some channel locks. Real simple. Didn't line up perfectly. The roll pin is at least half there, so it's strong enough to do what I need it to do. And it came with a new boot. The new one did. It went right over there. So that wasn't an issue. So to reinstall it, put this back in the door, installed that first, and then because I needed that range of movement to be able to pivot it basically 90 degrees up, I put that in first, and then I actually went ahead and popped it into the bracket second, which probably was a good idea, honestly, but that did make plugging it in a little bit harder because they have some kind of grease on the end of that connection. So that made it a little bit more difficult trying to get that in. My hands just got covered in whatever that grease was. But not too bad. I'd say to reinstall it, that was probably the best way. Actually, the rod faces like that. So I would install the rod first, pop this into here like I did earlier, and then clip that in the bottom. I found that taking off the bracket that actually attaches the door pull to the door made that opening all one large opening instead of two smaller ones. Gave my arm a lot more room. Wasn't too bad, so I was able to do it without having to drill out that rivet, so that was nice. You know, some parts I didn't pay for, but not bad. That's the easiest way to do that, quickest, and your door panel will look basically identical. Door panel and the entire door will look identical to what they looked like before. It's not going to look like something has been replaced. So that's probably the best way to do it. There is also a 10mm bolt that holds on the window channel inside the door. You just take off that bolt and then that window channel will move back and forth inside the door. Gives you a little bit more room for this guy because they are pretty close. I'd say the window channel is about here. And so if you loosen it, then you can pull it out of the way or do whatever you need to do. Not a bad way to do it. I did just because I thought I needed more room than I did, but you probably could do it without undoing that bolt. But definitely something that's worth knowing that you have that option in case you need more room.